Welcome to this explainer. Okay, be honest with me for a second. Have you ever stared at your bank account after a brutal, exhausting month of work and just thought, man, why am I not getting ahead? It is incredibly frustrating, right? We're all told to work hard, do the right things, but then you still feel completely stuck financially. Well, today we're diving into the source material from Breaking the Cycles of Poverty to uncover the invisible habits that are quietly keeping people trapped. When you look around and see millions of folks struggling their entire lives, while a handful of people just seem to build massive wealth on autopilot, you've got to step back and ask the big questions. Is it because you're just not smart enough? Or maybe you aren't working hard enough? Society constantly pushes this idea that wealth is just a reward for genius-level intelligence or back-breaking labor. But think about it. If that were literally true, the hardest working people you know would be billionaires. So if it isn't just about brains or sweat, what's actually going on here? Well, the truth we find in this source material is honestly a bit of a game changer. Most people stay poor because of deeply ingrained habits and beliefs. It's like an invisible cage. Throughout this explainer, we're going to shift our focus entirely away from things like innate talent, which, let's face it, we can't always control, and zoom in on your daily controllable actions. It isn't about who you are inherently, it is all about what you repeatedly do. Section 1. The knowledge and income trap, what we aren't taught in school. Think back to your school days for a second. Schools are phenomenal at teaching the basics, math, science, history. And sure, those subjects are absolutely crucial for giving us a baseline understanding of how the world works. But here's the crazy part. They teach almost nothing about money. We get thrown out into the real world completely blind to some of the most critical concepts we need to survive. I mean, where was the mandatory class on investing, or budgeting, or understanding the absolute magic of compound growth? The text highlights that because we lack this foundation, we end up making huge, life-altering financial decisions totally in the dark. And let me tell you, that lack of education is incredibly expensive over a lifetime. Now, the text notes that income usually tracks right alongside the value you provide. But look at this typical pattern. So many people just stop learning the second they get their diploma. But the world, it keeps spinning. They ignore changing tech, shifting industries, and new opportunities. And the inevitable result is that their income just stays completely flat. If you aren't upgrading your skills, you're putting a hard ceiling on your potential. The folks who keep learning are the ones constantly unlocking new doors for themselves. And this brings us to how you actually structure your income once it starts rolling in. Look at the structural contrast here. Relying on just one single paycheck, it's like standing on a stool with only one leg. If that leg snaps, the whole thing crashes down. But for the vast majority of us, that single paycheck is the entire financial plan. The wealthy, though, they build multiple legs for that stool. They set up investments, start side businesses, or generate rental income. The more streams you have flowing in, the more bulletproof your finances become against life's curveballs. Moving on to Section 2. The lifestyle inflation trap, the illusion of the big salary. Oh man, this is a trap that catches so many driven, hardworking people. Lifestyle inflation is basically when your expenses rise at the exact same rate as your income. We all kind of buy into this myth that if we just got a bigger raise, all our money stress would vanish. But the reality check from the source is pretty harsh. The more people make, the more they spend. A fatter paycheck rarely translates to a fatter savings account. Usually it just means upgrading to a bigger house, leasing a flashier car, and suddenly your whole life is just way more expensive to maintain. It's a treadmill, and you're running just to stay in the exact same spot. So how do you jump off that treadmill? The text emphasizes a supercritical distinction: assets versus liabilities. It's simple. An asset puts money in your pocket. A liability costs you money every single month. It sounds incredibly basic, right? But mixing up these two concepts is literally what wrecks most people's financial futures. Here is how it plays out in the real world. The wealthy pour their money into acquiring assets. We're talking stocks, real estate, businesses, things that actually grow and funnel cash right back to them over the long term. On the flip side, the trap most folks fall into is accumulating liabilities, buying stuff that just slowly bleeds their bank account dry month after month. The source material makes it crystal clear. Without acquiring actual assets, it is exceedingly difficult to ever build lasting wealth. All right, Section 3, the mindset and fear trap, the psychological barriers to wealth.
Now, we have to talk about a very human element at play here, the paralyzing fear of losing our hard-earned cash. The fear-based habit is stuffing all your savings into a cash account. I get it, it feels safe, right? But actually, it's a guaranteed loss because inflation is quietly nibbling away at the value of that money every single day. The contrasting wealthy mindset is taking calculated risks. They know investing isn't just reckless gambling at a casino. It's absolutely mandatory for growth. They don't run from risk, they manage it so they can outpace inflation.
Then there's the psychological hurdle of blame. When your bank balance is low, it is so easy to point fingers, isn't it? It's the economy, it's government policies, it's just my terrible luck. And look, the source entirely validates that these external factors are real. They definitely matter. But here is the kicker. Playing the blame game does absolutely zero to fix your situation. All it does is strip away your own power to make things better. So the crucial pivot here is to zero in purely on what is within your control. Successful people obsess over their own skills, their own habits, their own daily choices. It's such an empowering shift in perspective. Once you stop stressing over the massive macroeconomic climate and start fixing your personal choices, you finally grab the steering wheel of your own life again. And part of grabbing that wheel means managing your expectations. We live in a society completely bombarded with this idea of overnight success and instant results. But real wealth building, it's a deliberate grind. It's consistent saving, followed by smart investing, and underpinned by a whole lot of discipline and patience. It takes years, sometimes decades. The real tragedy, as the text points out, is that so many people throw in the towel after a few months because they don't see immediate results. But those who stick it out, who let compound growth do its quiet, heavy lifting, they are the ones who eventually achieve the impossible.
Which brings us to Section 4, Breaking the Poverty Cycle, Taking Back Control.
The text offers this incredibly powerful realization. When habits change, financial futures can change too. Listen, most people don't stay stuck because they lack intelligence or because they are lazy. They stay stuck because of the exact invisible habits we've been uncovering today. Spending everything they earn, dodging investments, ignoring financial literacy, and expecting a quick fix. But here is the absolute best news. Habits can be unlearned. You can rewire them. Building wealth is not some random lottery ticket. It is a series of deliberate, conscious choices that you can literally start making right now. So I want to leave you with a pretty provocative question to chew on. Are you going to stay on that exact same path, or will you start building a radically different future today? The invisible habits keeping people stuck are now completely visible to you. The playbook is wide open. What you do next is entirely in your hands. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep learning, keep pushing forward, and I'll catch you next time.